Today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Bandai S.HMonsterArts Godzilla from 2014. A fairly well-received movie, which really the only complaint a lot of people had was that Godzilla simply wasn't in the movie long enough. With the proposed sequel now on the horizon, maybe we may get more Godzilla for our buck. In the meantime, I figured it was kind of fun to go back and have a look at Bandai's release of the Godzilla, the 2014 Godzilla, from the S.HMonsterArts line. It's also celebrating, apparently, the 60th anniversary of Godzilla. I had no idea. To check out more from S.H. Figuarts and, of course, the S.HMonsterArts, you can head over to Bandai's website. Package-wise, we have Godzilla's new look, I guess 2014's look on the front of the package. You can also see the figure on the side of the package. One of the benefits also of picking up the S.HMonsterArts over maybe some other released figures, because NECA's kind of dabbled in the realm of Godzilla's as well, is that you're supposed to get more articulation as well from the Monster Arts line. Also digging the claw marks that are running the gashes along the top corners of the box. I think that's a nice touch. Then on top there, you've got Godzilla 2014. Side of the box features a picture of what the figure's going to look like. The back of the box shows you more of the figure, as well as different poses and stuff that you can do with the figure. I could read this to you. Unfortunately, I don't speak Japanese, so there it is right there for you. It says 1958. Right there, 1958. And then finally on the underside of the box, you can head over again to a Bandai. There's www or http:/p-bandai.jp. And then you can also go to http:/tamashi.jp. Spot's going to take himself a break and get this opened up. But rest assured, when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Bandai S.HMonsterArts Godzilla from the 2014 movie release. There's more heading away, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. For the S.HMonsterArts Godzilla, you kind of get a bare bones release. He doesn't come with any sort of fire attachment. He doesn't come with a display stand. Basically, what you see here is what you get. That's not to necessarily dismiss the fact that this is a great figure, because this figure is phenomenal. Let me also add to this review that the spikes on the top of Godzilla, especially the sides, are rather pointy. So if you are getting this figure for yourself, do be a little careful that you don't prick yourself in the process of handling him. The figure has almost a more rougher complexion rather than maybe NECA's release outing of him. He does also translate to a feeling a little bit lighter as well. But again, I don't want to dismiss the overall execution of the figure, because I think the figure turned out quite good. Looking at perhaps maybe other Monster Art releases, we've had a look at the Predator and the Xenomorph. I feel like this is a much better figure. Whereas those figures, for the price point, I would not shell out, I think, looking now at it, at getting a Predator or Alien figure, unless it was top-notch. I would be more inclined to probably just pick up NECA's release, and you can get like the same sort of detail, same sort of sculpt, and same sort of articulation as what Monster Arts are doing. Godzilla, I almost feel, is slightly better though in the by comparison to NECA's. Unfortunately, I don't have NECA's with me right now. It's been tucked away. It's somewhere in a tote. Maybe if I can find that figure, I'll maybe do a throwback, and I'll do a comparison with the Monster Arts here. But the figure comes across here just a much more, I want to say, a much better sculpt. Now, again, mileage may vary. You may look at this figure and think, well, really, the figure is not that much different than NECA's. I feel like it has more intricate little scale work that's been added to the surface that maybe NECA's didn't actually have. What you're also getting is loads of posability, which again is not something that NECA was missing. It just simply is a case that it has its own set of rules. The face, though, on Godzilla, as you can hopefully see there, you can see his little eyes, his teeth, and if you open up his mouth has also a tongue inside. Nice, vibrant color. Well, not vibrant, but a nice level of detailed color to the mouth. I also like actually as well, like we flip it around to the side, that they've colored in even the little side skin areas of the mouth that would stretch when the mouth would open and close. Again, a really nice touch. Proportionately, he's a much stockier looking Godzilla than maybe earlier incarnations of Godzilla, not to mention, of course, the 90s, was it 97, 98 Godzilla, which had his own complete design to him. Yeah, this Godzilla I actually didn't mind. He was, again, a little more of a stockier representation, but for CG ends of it, I think the character Godzilla turned out great in the movie. He just wasn't in the movie long enough. The rest of his coloring is kind of more of a, I'm going to say purple, and somebody's going to say there's no way that that's purple, but it's almost a dark purple-based gray that's making up the majority of his body. I see slight little dark purple, again, closer to gray, but I almost see more of a purpley gray undertone to the coloring. The top of the scales, however, have almost more of a green-based gray, which also makes up the underside where it's a little bit more stronger in color. The claws are also painted in that kind of greenish gray color, as well as his fingers. Well, his fingers are actually the same color as that other majority of the color on his body. The tail also has some great coloring on the underside there as well. Loads and loads of posability, all of which we'll get to in a second. Actually, you know what? Let's get to it right now. Because the only other thing I was going to touch base on is just the spikes. The spikes are sculpted quite nicely. But again, be very careful when you're handling it that you don't accidentally prick yourself. I pricked myself actually a couple of times on this spike right here, which seems to be the sharpest of the 4 on the sides. Now, when it comes to his posability, this is where the figure excels in. We've already had a look at that. He has the hinge on his mouth, but Godzilla also has a ball joint in the top head area. He's got a ball joint in the second area that is, I guess, right after the head. Then he's got a third area, a third ball joint that's right here before you get to the main torso. The torso itself is on its own ball joint, so you can have it more tipping up, or you can have Godzilla more tipping and lunging forward. The arms are independently ball jointed. The elbows are also, well, let me show you what's going on with the elbows. There's a ball joint here, and then there's a ball joint here. The elbow itself is kind of self-contained from the rest of his arm. He does also have a ball joint in the hands themselves. Then when you get to the rest of the body, he's got a ball joint here at the, I guess, secondary torso, kind of where a waist would have resided on Godzilla here. And then for his legs split out via a ball joint. These could technically rotate to some extent. This area is a little softer, but not really by much. He does have, and this is one problem I have with this figure, he does have 2 sets of ball joints. I mean, really everything here, there's like a little hinge, and then the hinge is attached to ball joints. So there's one here, and then there's one here, but it keeps from time to time wanting to pop out. Of course, this is probably the reasoning why I put pressure on the spike and ended up pricking myself, was trying to put the leg back into place. Then he's got a secondary joint right here, right about calf area, and then he's got a joint right at the foot where the foot attaches to the actual ankle area. Then you get to the tail, and this gets crazy. You have a ball joint here. I really don't want to keep saying ball joint for everything, so basically I'll just say there's a joint here, there's a joint right here, there's one there, there's one there, count with me, there's one right there, one right there, one right there, here, here, here. I guess really the only place that doesn't have a ball joint, even like the end tail, which is again more rubbery, does have its own independent joint. So if I can count these correctly, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, which again looks like, yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. That's just on its tail before you even start looking at the rest of his body. That is what I'm talking about. Now granted, NECA, I say NECA because NECA is probably the closest thing that you could get by comparisons to this. NECA had equal levels of articulation, but not as much from what I remember in the tail area. that you could, just by doing a little bit of adjusting for all the individual joints, you could eventually bring that tail all the way around like that. And that's actually probably how I'll display it too. It will not take up as much space from a depth standpoint too, displaying it on a shelf. Yeah, this is a great looking figure. I think where the Predators and the Aliens missed, and simply just by noting the fact that NECA was doing it so much better at such a more affordable cost. NECA was a more superior release when it came to the Predator figures, but I think this figure is just as good, if not better, than the NECA release. It has tons of articulation, it has loads of sculpt and detailing to it. Yes, this is quite a stellar looking Godzilla. Spot picked this up from his local comic book store, so if you guys are interested in picking this up for yourselves, I would say that's your best bet. Just check your local stores. You could probably pick this up on eBay as well. Today's collectible spot, though, we were having a look at the 2014 Godzilla from the Bandai S.HMonsterArts line. Stay tuned, Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. Certainly thank you for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.